Do you feel like Seattle is becoming the place to live? Do you think it is dying? My man Jeff in Bonnie Lakes knows that I keep receipts. Well, it seems like a lot of new people think that this is the place to be because the population is growing fast. According to new data by the Washington Office of Financial Management. These are facts.
You're sounding very official right
now.
These
are because when I'm saying facts, Ursula, I have learned when I'm given the news to be very serious and put on my news voice.
Okay.
For the first time ever, Seattle is now home to well over 800,000 people. As of April 1st, the city has an estimated population of 816,000 people. That's nearly 19,000 more than the year earlier. Now, hold on. If you're feeling like this number feels way higher than what you've Googled recently, or the way somebody has told you that Seattle's dying even though they live and work downtown, the U.S. Census Bureau report from last summer in 2024, the city was only at around 781,000. That means the city would have grown by nearly 36,000 people, way more than the city's ever grown in a single year. So why the gap? It comes down to timing and method. The feds use IRS data. Not everybody pays or shows their taxes. We all know that.
Yeah.
Anyways, the feds are...
Different method of counting.
The feds use IRS data to state... The state doesn't have, while the state uses Washington-specific sources the feds have skipped. Ursula, I'm done with the news.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Basically, now we've got more accurate numbers, and Seattle is not dying, which is a theme that we've had on the show since its inception. We have some big problems, for sure. Yeah. But the city is not on the verge of collapse. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of things that I would like to point out. Even talking downtown, because there was a recent attention on Reddit. A European tourist posted about how he and his family had never felt more unsafe than being in downtown Seattle. Mm. Now, having traveled in Europe and going to certain cities where there was, before it happened here, in Germany, there was open drug use in certain areas of parks and such. So I have seen some scary situations in Europe too. So, but anyway, apparently these European travelers, which the folks who really root against Seattle or want to continue that narrative about Seattle dying, will elevate that and say, see, even people from out of town say this place is a hellhole.
What if you heard me on the air, Ursula? What if you heard me get on here and say, hey, everybody, I want you guys to know that here in the studio, KIRO Radio, it's dangerous in here, y'all. It's dangerous. Every time I walk inside of the studio, it's dangerous. And imagine if I wrote about it every day. And then finally, one of you all say, well, Gee, you say it's so dangerous. You've been going in that studio for 5.5 years. What has happened? Nothing. But for some reason, I keep writing about it. If I am writing, telling you, but if I live and work in this studio and there's nothing that's happening, why am I writing that it's dangerous?
Okay, Steve in downtown Seattle says, you somehow think that Seattle is dying people are all Trumpers who live outside of downtown. I actually disagree with that. But he says many of us live and work directly in Seattle for decades and are trying to be part of the solution. We appreciate that. Seattle was dying under the previous decade plus of failed leadership. The Seattle is dying people are part of the solution. So I am so perplexed and irritated by your mocking of the Seattle is dying people. Steve, it's because there are some people who really do want the city to fail, because they believe that it is only going to fail if you have Democrats in power. And that is the narrative that is being pushed, even though things like the Downtown Seattle Association says pedestrian traffic is at 92% of pre-pandemic levels. There are new restaurants, bars, and small businesses that are opening on a regular basis. Seattle added 30,000 jobs just in the past year. Now, there are layoffs happening, like there are in the rest of the country. Housing construction, it is booming. There have been over 10,000 new housing units approved. That was in 2023. That was the highest in over a decade.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can recognize when you want the city to be the best that it can be.
Yeah.
You want it to be like whatever you thought the glory days were of Seattle. But this whole idea of, oh my God, it's so horrible here, I can't wait to leave. That's not being part of the solution.
My good buddy Catherine in the 360 brings up a very good point. When you think of Victoria and Vancouver, BC, it's beautiful there, right?
It is beautiful.
But there are a couple streets.
Oh my goodness.
In Vancouver, right
Yeah.
off Richards,
Yes,
right?
that you would feel it's the most unsafe city in the entire world.
And so imagine if I go to Vancouver right now and I take pictures of people right there off of Richards downtown, and I take pictures of only the people on this street, and I write a whole thing about how terrible Vancouver, BC is.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, because I always want us to look at the other
Yeah.
side. Those few blocks that are bad, and by the way,
Yeah.
Lower Queen Anne right now is
Yeah.
horrible. There are parts of Lower Queen Anne, if I focus on a couple of blocks,
Yeah.
they're horrible.